This is a kind of off-the-script take on Kyle Rittenhouse. I hope you enjoy it. One of the things I've seen going through the right as they've been dealing with the fallout of Kyle Rittenhouse's trial is how surprised they are that he sort of ran to Donald Trump and PragerU and other places. The only best way I can say is what were you paying attention to? And what sort of society do you think we're in? A lot of the people who sort of like point this stuff out have been, either crowing or they've been going, oh, why would you do this? Why? Academic Agent has been like, yeah, of course. Big surprise. Other people have said other things. I haven't seen him and Keith Woods debate on skepticism yet, though I am looking forward to it and will today after this video, though some hours after. And it sort of like strikes me as again, what do we expect this kid to do? He was raised by a single mother. He is right-leaning, still has his chest. He still has his soul. He's not like some little gamma mommy's boy. But at the same time, think of it from his perspective. What father figures has he had that has stuck with him? Even if he's still with his real father, he's a child of divorce. And he's a child that should not be as good and as well cut and as well spoken as he is. The fact that Kyle functions as well as he did and as well as he does now is a miracle. And I think that should be, pointed out here. He is as American as you can get, and I mean it in the sense of the median American experience, not in the sense of some sort of great, glorious 1776 American. And even they were, 2/3 of the country didn't support the revolution. When we think about, this guy, and what he went through, and then we see him cozy up to Donald Trump and to Prager and all that jazz for the photo ops, I don't think we should be surprised. In fact, I think that that's basically what it's going to be for the future and for the rest of it. We know, I saw a post about this that sort of kicked it off, where it's like, did you know that PragerU's CEO or chief director or whatever used to work for Israeli intelligence? And everyone just is going, yeah. Yeah, of course we know. Like we've been known for years. We've pointed it out. When the crime is noticing things, noticing, let's say, what can I do that's a little funny? Let's say noticing the size of the hat. When you notice the size of the hat, you're kind of just stuck with it. You're stuck with that knowledge. I don't think Kyle notices the size of the hat. And he's gone through a lot. Why would he notice the size of a hat? The first lawyer screwed him and took a whole bunch of money, and only the grace of God preserved him from jail. The people in jail were told, at least supposedly, that this guy was a white supremacist. We might look the other way if you beat him up. And it's like, oh, this white supremacist. They look in and it's some dough-faced 17-year-old boy. And they're like, all right, let's do it. So, he instead, he had a good experience in jail, or at least as good of an experience you can have in jail. They taught him card games and stuff like that. A lot of these criminals, like people forget that the criminals, not the guys who get, who do evil that we are tracking, right? Not the pedophile elites, not the government, not the Kabbalists, not the Society of Witches or whatever, but the criminals are often from broken homes just like Kyle. They're often abused as children. Certainly there's a criminal class that is self-propagating, but these guys, they see the 17-year-old kid, and I'm sure they saw something of themselves in that. They saw, oh yeah, some 17-year-old kid, white supremacist, ho ho ho, and they go through it and they discover that no, it's not that. It's just some 17-year-old kid, and they treat him well. It's the opposite reaction for pedophiles in prison. When pedophiles are killed, hey, that's how it is. A lot of these criminals are abused as children, therefore they take it out on the pedophiles, as well they should. But the right's reaction to these things, even though I stand at one of the most right-wing points you can, even though I listen to guys who are in some cases more right-wing and traditional than I am, I recognized that the best thing we could get from Kyle Rittenhouse was exactly what we got. I support BLM. oh, I'm going to go see Donald Trump. Oh, I'm going to see small face, big head Charlie Kirk, etc. With the stupid haircut. Like, holy cow. That haircut was stupid. But the that's not an argument, Ben. I know. But the Prager's haircut, not Kyle's haircut. At least I think he was talking with Charlie Kirk. I don't actually look at his face. I just know the meme. So, we got this stuff, and the fact is that I haven't seen any evidence that Kyle is Christian either. And that's something to really pay attention to. He doesn't have a basis of truth in the same way that, I do, or any other Christian who understands what being a Christian is does. When you can say this is right and this is wrong, you can sort of run with it. I know the standards that God has for me. I know that I am saved. I believed in Jesus Christ. I believe in Jesus Christ. I will believe in Jesus Christ. He died and rose from the grave. I don't think Kyle can say the same thing. And while it is a blessing from the Lord that self-defense is preserved, even with the Arbery trial, all it is at worst a balancing of the scales. It doesn't refute the fact that Kyle Rittenhouse got free. It was still a travesty that there were corrupt prosecutors, who were able to take the case to court. And every city is going to have that, whether or not they have an Armenian crime family ruling all the positions. It's one of those things where you can see the hand of God on it, but at the same time, you can see how badly things could go and how badly things are going. It's a sign of the times. It's people are saying that there's a reprieve going on, but I don't see it. I don't see it. I think guys like Kyle are the best that we can do en masse. People say, well, you don't really need the majority to follow for an elite takeover. Well, yeah, but you still need enough people to fight your war. There were battles and riots and stuff like that, both for and against the royalty. It didn't just smoothly go into the Bastille and then get out. There were fights in the streets. There was knifings and all that jazz. The common people they took were the ones who were on the wrong side before it ever began, not people who decided, you know what, I'm going to say something that's going to get me guillotined today. So to conclude with a lot of this stuff, considering that Kyle is 17 years old, has not declared any Christian faith, and by the way, going to church does not mean he's a Christian. He just, I'm saying that, the things he could have said should have been different in that sort of way. It's a dog whistle, to use the enemy's terms. But there's no Christian dog whistle with him. There's no, he doesn't have a father, broken home, divorced parents. And I'll point out that somebody who could have been, an older man figure for him, abandoned him to his fate during the riots. There's that, too. So, and the lawyer who screwed him over for money, and this and that, and all the slander, and all the pressure on him. Him doing what he did, it was the best we could have gotten, and the best we could have expected from somebody like him, specifically. If you're saying, well, I would do differently, okay, fine. You might have done differently. You would have also been counted guilty because nobody would have sympathized with you. Assuming that, well, I would say something about how the people who wear hats who happen to be small set me up, or that these things or those things or whatnot. But in reality, it's, that's not the point of anything about this. I don't think that anyone who is real and articulate on the right would get a platform like that. It would be the reverse of what's happening with Ghislaine Maxwell. The thing about like Ted Kaczynski and why we know so much about his trial and other things is because, he was still viewed as a crazy man by the boomers of the era. And they wanted to sort of turn Kyle into something similar where they could just ram him through. But fortunately, justice went out. God's hand was upon it, I believe, because the jury had sympathy for him. They didn't really care what the prosecution's arguments were. They were clown arguments. But there were still two people who led it into 3 or 4 days of deliberation, depending on how you count it. I kind of hope that Kyle sues the pants off everyone who ever slandered him, and he gets the big payouts. And I also hope he disappears into obscurity, and is not used as a weapon of the enemy to punch down on people who have it. Kyle is a man with a chest, but that doesn't mean he has a head for it or even a backbone for it. It just means that he's willing to get out there and fight. And we may be thankful that he went out there and fought. And I hope he continues to fight for everything that's coming to him. And I also hope that and pray that he doesn't get destroyed by those enemies who were thwarted by his actions. I'm of the opinion that they'll just let him run through it, but who knows? There's a lot of things here, and there's a lot of things that could have gone worse. I want to thank you for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. Be sure to check out Pinkerton's Ghosts. Be sure to check out King of the World, Disney parody involving Vikings, and several of my friends. And just in general, check out the Superversive Movement writings and so on. I know you'll find something you'll love. Thank you for listening.